full throttle. This thing is crazy, man. Woo! First off, I want to preface this video by stating that I think this Segway X is a really fun bike, and I think for the price that you pay for it, you get a lot of value, and this bike is very versatile. I've owned this bike for several days, and I've tested it out on my 20 acres and my country property here down south, and doing a lot of riding on it on the street. I really love this bike, but there are 10 things that I hate about this bike. But it's not a deal breaker for me, but it may be for you. Stay tuned.
Let's go for a ride. Subscribe today.
Hey guys, whatever you do, make sure you're wearing the gear to stay safe out there on the streets. And I had some awesome gear if you want to get it. I have links to everything, like this armored hoodie, which is awesome. My ultra lightweight carbon fiber helmet that comes with an automatic tint shield, my motovlog camera, airbag vest, all my gear. I include links in the description and comment section of this video. You know, I'll be honest with you guys, when I first took delivery of this Segway X and put it together, I thought that I maybe have wasted my money. I paid $4,200 for the bike and $200 in shipping, so a total of $4,400. And because it was so small in person, I didn't realize how small it is, but it's not that bad. But it just, I mean, obviously compared to my YZ, it looks like a tiny bike, like a mini bike. But that works to its advantage and actually makes this bike really fun when you ride it, because it's so small and lightweight and it's easy to throw around, man. This thing turns quickly, and it's just like you're at one with the bike, and it's so much less fatigue on your body compared to a dirt bike, because you're only wrangling around a 100-pound bike compared to, you know, my YZ, which is in supermoto form is about 265 pounds. Big difference. And by the way, I took this on my newly constructed trails here on my 20-acre property here down south, and I tell you, I had a blast on this bike. It was absolutely awesome. But it wasn't until I rode this bike that I appreciated and felt that I made a good decision. But before that, like a lot of you guys, just looking at the bike, you're like, man, that's a waste of money. That's a toy. But then when you get on and ride it, you're like, man, this thing is awesome. So, and then, like I say, if you go online, you'll be hard pressed to find a review that's less than 5 stars up for this bike. But there are some things that I hate about the bike, but they're not a deal breaker for me. And I'll start with the small stuff first before I get into the big stuff. First off, I hate this battery cover here, this cover here, because it is hard to open, man. Like when I first tried to open it, I couldn't get it open, and I had to look on YouTube to see how to open it. And it said you press down on the lid here, and then turn the key, and then it'll come up. And I was like, okay, so that sucks. I wish, they need to correct that. Another thing that I dislike is that the battery connectors is kind of irritating, to remove the connectors off the battery. I hate pushing those little clips up and pulling it up. It's, just like on our motorcycles, it's hard to do that. It's irritating. I wish they would have a better, like, quick connect system that works better than that, but it's not that bad. Like I said, it's not a deal breaker. And then to actually pull the battery out can be a bit of an irritation, and putting it back in, it just doesn't go in super smoothly, and it doesn't always pull out super smoothly. And then you have the power switch here on the bar, which for some reason, I don't know, maybe my thumb hits it or something, it'll throw it into the lower power mode. At first I thought maybe my battery was dying, and I thought the battery had lost power, the bike was losing power or something. But then I realized when I got off the bike that it had switched to the lower power mode by accident. So I don't know, maybe you can put some tape over this sport mode or something. So that's an irritation. Another thing that I don't really like is, I don't like, the headlight is fine. I mean, the headlight's not bad. It actually lights up pretty decent. But it's such a narrow beam pattern that it doesn't light up all that much area. I would like to see a much, longer headlight that lights up the area a lot better, which you can get there's upgrades that you can do. There's other lights you can put on this bike. And that's another thing that I hate, is that any mod you want to do to this bike, nearly everything is sold out. You know, even the cheap fenders that they put on this bike. By the way, this is another thing that I hate, is the cheap rear fender, and I believe probably the front fender is probably pretty cheap too. I don't know. It seems to be okay. It's kind of chintzy though. But the one on the back, when I looped that wheelie, man, that thing just cracked right off like it was nothing. Whoa! Oh man! Oh! I shouldn't have done it that bad, completely cracked off. And then I wanted to go online and get a replacement, and they're all sold out. And an aftermarket one, they want like $80 for it. I'm like, what? They're crazy, man. The OEM one, I think you can buy for like $10 or something, but it's always sold out. Any mod you want to do, if you know, I wanted to upgrade the power on this bike and put a BAC 4000 controller on there and a 72-volt battery. Sold out. And of course, the price to do the upgrade to that is like $3,000. It's like $2,000 for the battery, for the 72-volt battery, and it's like at least like $1,000 for that BAC 4000 controller, or close to it. So you're gonna be paying at least like $3,000 if you want to upgrade the power on this bike. Which, in my opinion, the stock power is actually pretty good, especially for riding off-road, because you won't be doing 80 miles an hour out here, you know, on the trails anyhow. So the 47 miles per hour max, which I got this too, is just fine out here. But if you want to take it out on the street, it would be nice probably to have that little extra power, passing power, so if any cars mess with you, you can crank it up and you got that 80 miles an hour to work with. But again, that's a $3,000 upgrade. Is it going to be worth it for you? So just depends on what you want to do, but then you're not going to be able to buy it because it's always sold out. Another thing I don't like, the suspension, which pleasantly surprised me, because you know, when I first got this bike and I sat on it, it was really bouncy. I said, oh man, not another bad, cheap, crappy suspension like the Yamaha MT-09 had, which wasn't ridiculous, but this one was really bad at first. But I looked online, and a lot of the people there, you know, recommended you obviously adjust the suspension for your weight, and it is a lot better. I was able to adjust it, and I did stiffen it up, both the shock and the front fork. But the front fork is kind of irritating, you know, to adjust. It does have, you know, the rebound and preload dials here, at least this suspension. When you buy this bike, it can come from with one of three suspensions: the Fast A suspension,
Or the RST suspension, or the DNM suspension.
I don't even know which one this is. If this is the DNM, I think is the name of this, possibly this suspension. I know it's not the Fast Ace, but anyways, the preload here, this dial just keeps going. It doesn't stop, man. This one for the rebound, I went as many clicks as you can go to it to the right, except for 2 clicks out. So that's what I have set up for here. For this one, it just keeps spinning. I don't know how you set this up, but somehow I was able to get it dialed in, and it's a lot stiffer and rides pretty decent. The rear shock here is pretty easy to adjust. So I adjusted that there, stiffened it up a bit for me, and like I said, riding on my trails, which are really rough in some areas, it did really pretty good, not bad. So, you know, right out of the box in stock form, you can have fun on this bike. You don't really need to do any modifications to enjoy this bike. And like I said, if you want to do any modifications, you're going to have a hard time doing it because everything's sold out. Another thing that I hate about the Sur-Ron X is to unlock the full power when you first get it, you have to clip this green wire, which is really annoying to get to because it's like in a wire sleeve that you have to cut up, and then you'll see the loop there very clearly, but you got to be very careful to just clip that wire and not clip any other wires, because I'd hate to clip any other wires by accident. But that's kind of annoying to do, you know. The Segway X260, which is Segway's version, it's pretty much the same bikes, but it's got a few differences on it. That one, I believe, comes with an app that you can put on your phone, and you can actually unlock the power via app. That would be awesome for this bike. But I didn't want to pay the extra premium for the Segway X260, which runs, I think, like $5,000. compared to $4,200 plus $200 shipping with this. By the way, this bike, that's another thing I hate about this bike is the price, even though it's still pretty cheap, paying $4,400. But this bike, when it first came out like a couple of years ago, it was like $3,600, man. And really, I think this should be priced at the $3,600 plus maybe $200 for shipping. But $4,400, I mean, you get a lot of bang for your buck with this bike, to be honest with you, man, because this thing is just a hoot to ride. Like I said, no valve checks, oil changes, no maintenance really, except for just charging the battery and changing the brake pads. That's it. Another thing I hate about this bike is when you charge the battery, the charger fan comes on every time and is really loud. Man, fan comes on. So it came 66% charged. It's kind of annoying. I put it in my laundry room and close the door, and it's out of the way. It's not that big of a deal. A lot of people, you know, I've seen videos on things that, you know, people disliked about this bike, and some people mentioned the pegs on here, but honestly, the pegs were just fine for me. Another thing, the tires are great. The stock tires, man, these things grip so well out here, guys. I had a hard time even trying to force some slide action with these tires, so thumbs up to the tires. And some other people complained about, you know, the seat being a bit too stiff and putting a more comfortable seat. I found the seat to be comfortable for me. It was fine. I don't know if they, for the 2022 model that this is, whether they upgraded that or not, but it worked great for me. And I wouldn't want a seat too soft anyhow. You want it kind of stiff out here, you know, when you're doing off-roading. I found the grips to be fine. The brakes brake really well. Otherwise, you know, this bike is really awesome, guys. I really like it, and I think it's great for the whole family, because, you know, you do have the power mode here. So for those of you like your wives or the youngins in your family that you don't, you know, you're worried about maybe it'd be a bit too fast for them, it has that you know, switch to the lower power mode, and bam, this thing is docile, man. For those of you guys that want to get into off-roading, that are short and you're hesitant to buy a dirt bike because you don't want to deal with a super tall bike, is very intimidating for you, this is your answer right here. This is, you'll have a blast on this, and you could be really short with this bike. I mean, for those of you probably sitting at like maybe 5 feet, could probably ride this bike no problem. And have a good time. You'll have a lot of confidence because it's so lightweight and small. You won't get tired riding this bike. It's you know, if you can ride a bicycle well, like a mountain bike on trails, you'll do well with this. For those of you guys that have any questions about this bike at all, please leave a comment below and I'll try to answer it for you. And I love talking with you guys. That's what keeps me doing these videos, is I love having discussions with you guys in the comments section. So please leave those comments. Make sure to subscribe to my all-in-one motorcycle channel. Make sure to hit thumbs up, share this video. It really helps my channel, and I appreciate all you guys. Make sure to leave a comment below, like, share, subscribe. I appreciate all you guys. Make sure to check out my other channel, Bug Out Moto. So until next time, catch you guys later.
Thumbs up, check out my playlist for new riders and popular videos. Don't forget to comment and subscribe, and check out my other channel, Bug Out Moto, where I customize a van for my motorcycle so I can live in my van with my motorcycle and travel across the country anywhere. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Bug Out Moto.